This panel reminded me of the very critical truth that I sometimes forget: context is critical. Here's why. The Injustice Saga is an alternate universe DC series that explores the idea of a tyrannical Superman. It should be noted that this isn't a scenario where Superman is just evil. The Injustice storyline begins with the traditional Boy Scout Superman who just learned Lois Lane, his spunky reporter girlfriend, is pregnant. Enter the Joker with a supervillainous plan that will spark Superman's path towards tyranny. Joker kills Jimmy Olsen, Superman's best friend, kidnaps a pregnant Lois Lane, steals some kryptonite, some Scarecrow's fear toxin, attains a nuke, a submarine, and puts his plan in place. How does he pull this off? With the most powerful ability in a supervillain's repertoire: the power of doing things off screen. So the Justice League goes to work. They find the submarine, and Superman confronts the Joker. Superman gets hit by the fear toxin laced with kryptonite, forcing him to face his greatest fear: Doomsday, a powerful monster who killed him in the past. Superman, enraged by the loss of his friend and the kidnapping of his wife and child, launches Doomsday into space. However, it wasn't Doomsday he flew into space. It was Lois Lane. Superman realized too late that he had been hit with the fear toxin, and the Joker tricked him into killing his own family. And if that wasn't bad enough, the Joker attached a detonator to Lois Lane's heart. The moment she died was the moment the nuke was ignited in Metropolis. In a very short amount of time, Superman lost his best friend, killed his own wife, future child, and felt the loss of his entire city. After all, it takes a great tragedy to break a great man. This pushes Superman to kill the Joker and take a more proactive stance against crime. Superman and the heroes who side with him take steps to force world peace, taking on everything from tyrannical governments to Atlantis to an invasion from Apocalypse. The Justice League being far more undeniable now that lethal force is in the repertoire. Of course, this hardline stance might go well with the safety over freedom folk, but not so well with those who take issue with an unstoppable force forcing its will upon the world. And those who stand against Superman and Wonder Woman, here acting as his personal Lady Macbeth, nurturing Superman's worst impulses, soon realize that opposition will not be tolerated. When Superman and Wonder Woman were trying to suppress a protest in Australia, a local vigilante named Galaxor took a stand. And this is how Flash described the event: "I could see this scared kid who just realized he wasn't Superman, but I didn't move. In the time between each vertebrae popping, I could have acted 10 times, and I just stood there. I knew he was crippled before his pain receptors even felt the impact." In short, Superman and the Justice League move from being global peacekeepers to being global dictators. Even the United States starts to lose its sovereignty. The world is losing its freedom under the guise of world peace. Enter Batman. Batman, of course, remembers why he and the other members of the Justice League never overstepped their bounds before that moment. Because regardless of their intentions, forcing the world into peace not only leads to tyranny, but it doesn't solve the underlying problem. To quote Batman himself, "No, you just can't stop war. The reason for the fighting is still there. The religion, the land disputes, the ancient feuds. The peace needs to be enforced, and someone needs to enforce it." The first major confrontation between Batman and Superman comes to a head when Superman and the League decide to forcibly relocate the Gotham supervillains from the asylum to a location of their choosing in an effort to take a more active role in cleansing the world of crime. These twisted individuals who have hurt your city time and time again cannot be allowed to do so anymore. One of these madmen permanently scarred the world. Myself and my fellow Justice League members have decided that these criminals must be taken away, far from Gotham. Batman, his son Damian, and Nightwing travel to Arkham to stop Superman. But Damian, being raised by the League of Assassins, doesn't share his father's respect for life and sides against Batman joining Superman. What am I doing? I'm bringing criminals to justice. I'm standing with Superman and Cyborg and Wonder Woman. Look who you're standing with, Killer Croc. A confrontation arises, Damian and Nightwing exchange a few words, and Damian throws his weapon at Nightwing, which Damian thought Nightwing would counter since it's a routine they go through often. Except this time, Nightwing was too busy fighting escaping inmates to see Damian's attack. Nightwing is struck in the head and breaks his neck on a piece of rubble. Suddenly, Batman is faced with the betrayal of his biological son and the death of his adopted son. All of this after watching Superman, one of his closest friends, slowly turn against the virtuous goals they had once shared and slowly move towards tyranny. Batman suffers a mental break. And now, enter Catwoman. Catwoman steps into the story and immediately proves herself to be, as they say, the absolute best girl. That despite their somewhat confrontational relationship, when Bruce Wayne breaks, when he plummets to his absolute emotional low, Catwoman becomes his hero. This is where I bring up this panel, where Bruce Wayne is on his knees, crushed, heartbroken, while Selina Kyle is standing over him saying, "It's okay, let it go, just for today, you can fall apart." In isolation, this panel might spark a groan and an eye roll. In the current year era, and during the politically hostile era of DC, a scene like this fits into the overarching agenda of representation. One of these ideas is to add in more strong female characters and uplift female voices, but in practice, this uplift of female characters is often done by lowering men. And this is usually done via emasculation / a crushing of the ego, tearing down powerful icons of manhood like 007 and Indiana Jones. Boys are no longer allowed to have strong masculine role models anymore, and Batman perfectly fits the criteria of masculine icon to tear down. The most relevant way of doing that is convincing strong men to be more emotionally expressive and vulnerable. So again, in isolation, a scene like this might appear as if the writer just wanted to write Bruce Wayne breaking down so Selina Kyle can have her girl power moment. Show us that Batman might be great, but Catwoman is like so much better or whatever. However, within context, this is actually an emotionally powerful moment. This isn't Selina Kyle trying to appear more powerful or the writer trying to lift Catwoman above Batman in the eyes of the readers. This is just a touching scene where Selina Kyle rushes to Bruce Wayne's side and provides the emotional nurturing only she could properly offer Batman. So yes, Batman has a powerful mental resolve. He's able to absorb the horror that lurks in the heart of Gotham City, horrors that would drive a lesser man insane. But even he could only take so much. Even the great Batman has his breaking point. And not only is this moment displaying Batman's breaking point, but also a test of Catwoman's character. Ever since her introduction in Batman #1 back in 1940, Catwoman has been an interesting figure in Batman's life. Created specifically to be a love interest for the Bat, she was also a conniving femme fatale who developed a slap-slap-kiss relationship with the courageous Caped Crusader. Part of her mystique is wondering if she truly cares for the Batman, or are her affections simply an attempt at manipulation. And in true femme fatale fashion, oftentimes, it's both. We even see this in the Telltale Batman game where Selina Kyle uses her feminine charm to enchant Harvey Dent and Bruce Wayne, only to trick them both. However, if you play your cards right, you can get Selina to admit her true feelings for Bruce. The Nolan trilogy has Catwoman betray Bruce so many times, I'm surprised he didn't get a free chocolate sundae by the end. But then, when she had the means and opportunity to flee, she chooses to forego her own needs for Batman's sake, ultimately saving his life. And this is the critical focus of Catwoman's character test, the choice. And the Injustice Catwoman faced a similar choice here. Soon after the Arkham Showdown, Selina Kyle would find herself at a crossroads. One road leading down the path of detached femme fatale, and the other road leading her down the path of best girl, as they say. Here's the context. Despite Superman's harsh anti-crime takeover, Catwoman was still out hustling her craft, i.e. out committing high-class robberies. Then she encounters Superman. There's a short fight, Catwoman almost gets away by using a kryptonite earring, but it's still Superman, so eventually she's forced to surrender. Then we get this exchange. Catwoman, is this what you're doing now? Killing criminals in sewers? Superman, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to scare you. I just want to talk. It's Batman. Superman was stopping Catwoman, but he wasn't there to throw her in jail. He was there to ask Catwoman to help Batman. Superman and Batman had been best friends. In fact, both Superman and Lois had asked Batman to be the baby's godfather. But too much had happened since then, and Superman still had the humility to know that his presence would only make things worse. Catwoman, I'm going, but do me a favor while you're on this crusade. Don't forget the people you're trying to protect. Keep in mind, Superman wasn't there to force or threaten Catwoman into visiting Batman. Catwoman might have seemed opposed to attending Batman's emotional needs, but her pushback seemed to stem from her resentment towards Superman's recent actions. Catwoman, while you're looking to help those war refugees out there, remember all the displaced people right here at home. Don't forget them. In other words, Catwoman didn't outright refuse. She could have played the "you know I never really cared about Bruce, it was all an act" card, and Superman didn't respond with a "I don't care, he needs you, go play your part or else," hinting at Selina Kyle being a false lover, and Superman essentially strong-arming her against her will. Which, if both characters had been written from a more cynical perspective, it could have gone that way, but it didn't. And this is an important distinction to make. In any scenario, Selina Kyle could have gone to Batman's side, but there's a big difference between a Catwoman who goes only to evade Superman's wrath and a Catwoman who chooses the path of best girl. We get our first hint when Superman tells her that Nightwing died. Catwoman reacts in shock, tears in her eyes, as she realizes the emotional pain Batman must be going through. Of course, hinting at her genuine emotional connection to Batman. Superman was an indirect cause for that pain. This is probably what fueled the rage that followed, why she didn't outright agree, but instead tested Superman's resolve, forcing him to face what his actions have caused. Catwoman, you're supposed to be his best friend. Go talk to him. Superman, I can't. He wouldn't. Catwoman, oh, you idiotic, stubborn, scared little boys. Batman would throw himself in front of a bullet, and you would fight Doomsday to the death, and you'd both find that easier and less terrifying than talking to your friend. It's maddening. Superman, please. Catwoman, I'm going, but do me a favor. While you're on this crusade, don't forget the people you're trying to protect. Once again, Catwoman presumably felt Batman's pain, and seeing Superman as the cause gave pushback. That pushback came in the form of a speech meant to force Superman's values back into perspective. And the heart of Catwoman's speech is similar to Batman's own sentiments. Batman, you need to stop what you're doing. You're scaring them. You killed a man, Clark. Superman, and every time you let that madman live, how many more did you condemn? Did you even feel responsible? Did you even feel guilty? Batman, every time, but we don't get to choose who dies. Superman, one death to save millions. One death. Batman, it always starts with one. We either see that her personal frustrations align with Batman's, showing us that they share similar core ideals, or Catwoman chose to stand up to this far more lethal Man of Steel and unleash her full ferocity, echoing her own perspective, but fueled by the rage she feels on Batman's behalf, delivering a far more vicious version of Batman's defiance with a far harsher tongue against a far more receptive Superman. Catwoman, punish all the supervillains and governments you want, but save some wrath for the evil people who truly rule the world. Batman's reminder to not overstep your bounds when dealing punishment, and Catwoman's reminder to not get so lost dealing out that punishment that you forget those who truly need your protection. The point here for your consideration is that Superman requested Catwoman attend Batman during his time of pain. Had Catwoman been a more manipulative or selfish femme fatale, the "it was all an act" type, then she might have attempted to gain something from the most powerful man in the world in exchange for granting his request. After all, if she was all about gaining something with Bruce, then she would probably be all about gaining something with Superman. Superman was vulnerable. If nothing else, he actually cared for Bruce. He wanted someone to be there, but knew that someone could never be him again. Catwoman held a rare position of power, but she didn't use it. At most, she requested that Superman remember who the real villains are. Nothing for herself. Not a single attempt to negotiate for riches or some level of immunity from Superman's new world order. And still, Catwoman chooses to set everything aside to attend to Bruce in his hour of need. Catwoman finds Batman lost in an endless spiral of sorrow and rage. Selina Kyle steps in with a gentle hand and an open heart. She allows Bruce Wayne to let down his strong masculine guard that lets him stay resolute against the horrors of hell, so that others never have to, and allows him for one rare moment in time, a rare moment of vulnerability. Selina Kyle helps shoulder Bruce Wayne's emotional agony, forces him to face his grief rather than run from it, and she helps repair Batman's broken heart, as triggering as it may sound, the way only a woman can. After all, a father might force a young man to face his weaknesses and character flaws, and the Jackass movies perfectly encapsulate the masculine need to prove one's strength in front of one's bros. But for who does a man or boy usually cry when he's in severe emotional distress? As much of a comedic trope as it's become, a man tends to scream some variation of, "I want my mommy." So, of course, Selina Kyle consoles Bruce Wayne in the way only she can. Catwoman, Bruce, stop. Just for today. Don't be Batman. Don't be the Mask. It's okay. Let it go. just for today. You can fall apart. I'll hold you together. It's raw, it's primal, and, more importantly, human. The modern era, with its postmodern sensibilities, tends to demonize writing female characters as emotional support characters as if this role is inconsequential or weak. But this scene, and other scenes like it, perfectly highlight how wrong that sentiment is and how critical the role of emotional support can be. Catwoman is a skilled fighter and a crafty criminal. She nearly evaded Superman with a kryptonite earring. She can stand shoulder to shoulder with Batman in a fight. But all her martial skills combined could do nothing to help Bruce Wayne when he was most in need. Even better, no hint of current year categorization, or the representation mentality, where Catwoman would be the stand-in for all women. Neither does the writer insist that Bruce Wayne represents all men, and his emotional breakdown isn't sparked by something petty, nor is it using Bruce Wayne's emotional breakdown to do something silly like show off men's emotional fragility. So, women can be lifted up as stronger or better in the eyes of the reader, as one might see in the significantly more hostile wave of modern American comics. It's just one character caring for another, one person offering emotional support to another person they care about. Also, no Marvel humor. One reason why Marvel-style humor is so loathsome is its tendency to interject itself in the middle of heavy dramatic scenes. Like the time Thor found Lady Sif savage and missing an arm after a vicious battle, eagerly awaiting her death and to finally enter Valhalla. Sif, leave me here. I want to die a warrior's death on the battlefield in battle. Then I can claim my place in Valhalla. A moment overseeing the death of a regular character in the Thor movies, a scene which should be weighted with drama and sadness. But what should be a touching send-off is ruined by quirky Marvel humor. Thor. Oh, I hate to break it to you, but for a warrior to get into Valhalla, you have to die in the battle. You survived. Sif. Shit. Thor. Maybe your arm's in Valhalla. Wop 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 wop. Sure, it goes back to the main narrative soon after, but the tension is already broken. The full effect of the moment? Ruined. As if the writers can show a violently savage lady with a missing arm and have her spit expletives, but can't allow the audience to feel sad for a few moments. This doesn't happen in every dramatic scene, but it happens enough that it becomes noticeable. And I think movie that eagerly shows its audience titillating sex and violence, yet remains overly protective of the audience's feelings, is a fairly accurate description of the modern media trend of infantilizing their audience, i.e., children's movies made for adults. The point is, let the moment play out, and allow it to breathe. Could you imagine Luke Skywalker kneeling over a dying Darth Vader at the end of Return of the Jedi, and then suddenly hear a quirky joke just tossed into the mix? Vader, help me take this mask off. Luke, but you'll die. Vader, nothing can stop that now. Just for once, let me look on you with my own eyes. And then Luke takes the helmet off and goes, "Oh, you're ugly." Then puts the mask back on. Vader, what are you doing? Luke, this putting the mask back on? Seriously, you may want to look at me with your own eyes, but I don't want to look at you with mine. Or maybe that famous scene from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, where Will's father walks out on him yet again. Imagine, if you will, if Will reached his emotional peak and asked, "Why don't he want me, man?" And then, instead of Uncle Phil pulling Will into an emotional hug, followed up with, "Shoot." That sounded better in my head. In the end, Selina Kyle comforts Bruce with an emotional embrace at his lowest point. Like that moment in Cyberpunk when David crossed into cyberpsychosis, only to be pulled back into sanity by Lucy. And this leads us to the long-awaited best girl formula. Even if you disagree with my earlier assessment between Catwoman and Superman, the best girl formula lies within this assessment. A female character who willingly puts aside her own wants and needs, even sacrificing something personally precious, to attend the emotional needs of another. And it could be anyone, from a boyfriend to a coworker. Though, given the hostile time this video is made in, I should probably mention that she should be willing to extend this kindness to a significant male character in her life, regardless of politics. If she isn't willing to do this, setting aside her own desires or even well-being to attend another's emotional needs when they are at their most emotionally needy, then she cannot be best girl. I mean, if the grim-faced Batman could sit beside a dying girl so she doesn't have to spend her final hour alone, a best girl should have no problem with this task. Oddly enough, this is the same choice we typically see heroes face all the time. Yes, even male ones. We get a good hint at Batman's more base feelings towards crime in the movie Red Hood vs. Batman, when Jason Todd, who had been killed by the Joker, demands Batman reveal why, despite Joker's rampant cruelty, Batman chose to keep the Joker alive. Jason Todd, the thousands who have suffered, the friends he's crippled. You know, I thought I'd be the last person you'd ever let him hurt. If it had been you that he beat into a bloody pulp, I would have done nothing but search the planet and sent him off to hell. Batman, all I've ever wanted to do was kill him. A day doesn't go by that I don't think about subjecting him to every horrendous torture he's dealt out to others, and then end him. But if I do that, if I allow myself to go down into that place, I'll never come back. So when Batman chose to stand against Superman and protect the Arkham inmates from his tyrannical new policies, it wasn't because Batman wanted to side against his best friend or defend the psychotic criminals of the asylum, but he knew full well the powerful temptation to overstep his bounds. He knew this would lead Superman down the path of tyranny and villainy, which it ultimately does. So once again, the choice that led to Nightwing's death and Batman's emotional break was Batman placing his ethics, the needs of the world, and Superman's well-being over his own desires. So what does this mean? Baseline, a best girl is a female character who willingly makes a sacrifice to attend the emotional needs of a close friend, lover, etc. when they are at an emotional low point. After all, any bro can help another bro fight, but not all wounds are physical, and it normally takes a best girl to heal a hero's shattered soul. So in the end, a best girl is a hero, and for one critical moment in Bruce Wayne's life, Catwoman was his best girl and, of course, his hero. Hey, what are you doing here? I'm back! Literature Angel? That's right, but don't worry, I won't be staying long. Did you know I'm making a comic? A comic? But that doesn't explain what you're doing here. Of course it does! Since I've come to take a peek at your new project, the first volume of Dr. Alpha, Dead Man's Lullaby. Available now on Indiegogo. You mean the one that takes place 20 years before my first book, Dr. Alpha Miracle Child? Where Dr. Alpha wakes up having been injected with a deadly virus by his former villainous colleague and former criminal scientist, Dr. Cloner, and now, having been quite literally stripped of everything, Dr. Alpha has to fight the clock, tearing his way through a small horde of cloner minions and superheroes to finally reach Dr. Cloner and find out why his former best friend betrayed him, all while a mystery slowly unfolds behind the scenes in an action-packed rampage of brutal violence and mad science? Why yes, that one precisely. No. Blast it! Dr. Alpha, Dead Man's Lullaby Volume 1 is currently still in development, but it's currently available on Indiegogo, and, at the moment, there are still a few physical copies of the rare first edition version of my first book, Dr. Alpha Miracle Child. But copies are gradually running out, so act quickly if you want to snag a copy. Unfortunately, LitDev here is a bad guy, and so, while Indiegogo saw fit to take thousands of dollars from the campaign for so-called platform fees, they also decided to shadowban the project without reason or warning, which means, as of right now, you'll find it difficult to discover the book on Google or the Indiegogo website. The only way to find the project at the moment is through a direct link like this one. Dr. Alpha Dead Man's Lullaby has been split into 2 volumes, and the storyline will conclude with a second installment. However, Volume 1 alone is still 70 plus pages of action and drama, so don't miss out. I mean, not even Indiegogo could handle a man this toxic.